Verses 13 to 16 of chapter 7 restate for us what we know from previous verses, that Noah and his family and all the animals entered the ark. However, an important fact is added, and the Lord closed it behind him. Revelation 3:7, write this letter to the angel of the church of Philadelphia. This is the message from the one who is holy and true, the one who has the key of David. What he opens, no one can close, and what he closes, no one can open. Of all the things we find in the account of Noah's Ark, this one is among the easiest to understand. God had to shut Noah and his family in, because if that task were left up to Noah, he would have surely wilted under the stress of the cries of the drowning people clawing at the door. Although Noah was righteous, he was not trusted to deal with sin as effectively as God can. This is what Genesis chapters 6 through 8 are mostly about, a history lesson on how God deals with sin. God is patient, he warns, he waits. But the day comes when his patience, his warnings, and his waiting are over. When that time comes, he moves in mercy and justice to deal with sin. It happened before, and it will happen again. Genesis 8:6, then it came about at the end of the 40 days that Noah opened the window of the ark which he had made, and he sent out a raven, and it flew here and there until the water was dried up from the earth. The waters are receding, and the raven, being a scavenger bird that will eat almost anything, found food of some kind somewhere and did not return. Could have been fish or even rotting vegetation. Next, Noah releases a dove that leaves and then comes back because it could find no resting place for the sole of her foot. Then he waits a week and sends the dove again. This time the dove returns with something very interesting, a freshly picked olive leaf. I wonder where the dove found a freshly picked olive leaf. Well, as it turns out, olive trees can survive for months underwater. This is from Yahoo Answers, not noted for being a defender of biblical truth. Undoubtedly, the floodwaters did adversely affect many trees. However, the olive is quite a hardy tree, so an olive tree might have remained alive underwater for some months during the deluge. With the abating of the floodwaters, an olive tree that had been submerged would again be on dry ground and could put forth leaves, one of which could have easily been obtained by the dove. Genesis 8:4, in the 7th month of the 17th day of the month, the ark rested upon the mountains of Ararat. The mountains of Ararat is a region in Turkey, and in that region there is an actual mountain called Mount Ararat. We do not know if the ark came to rest on Mount Ararat or merely in that region. Genesis 8:13, then Noah removed the covering of the ark and looked, and behold, the surface of the ground was dried up. In the 2nd month, on the 27th day of the month, the earth was dry. Then God spoke to Noah, saying, go out of the ark, you and your wife and your sons' wives with you. Noah, his family, and the animals are all exiting the ark into a world that would be very different from the one they had known. The earth had been reconfigured. It is no longer shielded from the sun's rays as in the past, and will now need regular rain. What follows here is a rather long but significant quote from creation scientist Dr. Henry Morris. The earth had surely been purged of the wicked humanity that made its physical beauty only a mockery, and that was good. But what was left was bleak and barren and foreboding. No doubt physical changes along the lines of these. The oceans were much more extensive. They now contain all the waters which once were above the firmament, and now in the subterranean reservoirs of the deep. The land areas were much less extensive than before the flood, with a much greater portion of the surface of the earth uninhabitable. The thermal vapor blanket was dissipated so that strong temperature differentials were inaugurated, leading to a gradual buildup of snow and ice on the polar latitudes, rendering much of the extreme northern and southern land surfaces also essentially uninhabitable. Mountain ranges uplifted after the flood emphasized the more rugged topography of the post-Diluvian continents, with many of these regions also becoming unfit for human habitation. Wind, storms, rain, snow were possible now, thus rendering the total environment less congenial to a man and his animals than it had been before. The environment was also more hostile because of the harmful radiation from space, no longer filtered out by the vapor canopy. There was a gradual reduction in human longevity after the flood. Tremendous glaciers, rivers, and lakes existed for a time, with the world only gradually approaching its present state of semi-aridity. The crust of the earth was in a state of general instability, reflected in the recurrent volcanic and seismic activity all over the world. When Noah and his family went on the ark, it was one large landmass, a protective canopy over it, and people lived for hundreds of years. When they come off, all that has changed. This may have been very much like what Adam and Eve experienced when they were cast out of the garden. They were in a strange and much less friendly world. Although Noah was righteous, he was not trusted to deal with sin as effectively as God can. Olive trees can survive for months underwater. We do not know if the ark came to rest on Mount Ararat or merely in that region. This class, and indeed the entire school, is dedicated to helping others see that God is bigger than we think and better than we know. To get to the next video, make a note of the class number for this recording, then search for the next one. Here is a sample. If this video is number L01.1, then the next one is L01.2. And remember to like and subscribe on YouTube and follow on Rumble.